wife deployed for 1 year to Afghanistan. And at that point in time, my unit was training to leave for Afghanistan later in the year. We had a lot of different transitions going on because we already had, at the time, a 4-year-old son who needed care while I was training and while she was deployed. Our son essentially moved in early 2011 to be with his grandmother.
I was in Afghanistan all the way from January or February 2011 until January of 2012, and it was horrible because I missed my son.
In November of 2011, we got a notification that we had orders to change duty stations from North Carolina to New York City. We returned from deployment in January of 2012, and we were happy, ecstatic to learn in April that we were expecting a child. So we found a nice place located a couple of blocks away from the beach, in a nice location in Rockaway Beach, New York.
On September 7th, I had an appointment for the obstetrician. They discovered that something wasn't quite right with the anatomy of the child. My unborn child had a congenital diaphragmatic hernia. At the time, I didn't know what that was. They basically described that the organs that are supposed to be in the abdomen are herniating up to the chest. It was horrible to, to think that is, I don't know, that's happening to your child. On that Saturday, October 27th, on that Sunday, October 28th, was when we heard in the news that the hurricane was coming, that our area was mandatory evacuation. We picked up whatever we could and we went to my mother's house up in Manhattan. A couple days later, after the hurricane had ravaged the area, we learned that our house, first floor, and all of our belongings downstairs and in the garage, including my car, was destroyed. You can replace couches, but you cannot replace those pictures, those images. Like wedding photos. Our children's pictures. Of just remember when Caden was a baby. Right. And his first steps, first time he laughed, and videos and things that we hadn't unpacked because we just moved. My lowest moment throughout this whole ordeal was, I would say, was when I first found out that Zaylin had the diaphragmatic hernia. It was just the fear of the unknown that it was almost like I almost couldn't handle it. But then at that point, they had already told us that CHOP was like the best. They're world renowned for this particular condition. Therefore, I don't know, I pulled it out of somewhere and I held it together. The social worker, Marty Hudson, she was the one that told us about Hosts for Hospitals.
My name is Paige Talbot. My husband is Jim Gould. And I think we have been hosts for 10 years.
Well, we certainly have a busy household in the Gould family. We have 4 children who are all adult children. Our oldest is married and has 2 young children who spend a lot of time running around our house. Right off the bat, we knew that Vanessa and Tim were very much engaged with family life and how much family meant to them, and that they fit in just immediately.
This is our first year that we've ever had a Hosts for Hospitals family for Christmas. That's a pretty big deal because we're big Christmas folks.
It was just really something that we hadn't done before, and to this day, any one of our family members would say, boy, what a great Christmas we had.
Being that we were in Afghanistan last year, we didn't get a chance to have Christmas with Caden, and just seeing his face Christmas morning was probably one of the happiest times of my life. what was also great, which we were surprised about him getting additional gifts from your family, which was awesome as well. That was a great surprise for him because, you know, in our minds, we were like, you know, counting the gifts. You know, it's been a rough couple of months. We've been paying rent $2,200 a month for the house that was destroyed, that we're not living there for 4 months.
You know what's amazing is that for me and Paige, and I think other host families, that this is so important to us that we get more out of it than you do. And to see Caden around on Christmas Eve, he fit in like everybody else, like all the other kids, and you could tell that he was happy, and it just gives us a lot of joy to know that we're helping somebody else out, because we think that we're a pretty fortunate family.
My thing is that my son won't remember Hurricane Sandy. Is the best part for me.
And you said that you love the idea of this Christmas because this is the first Christmas that Caden will really remember.
Yep.
So how cool that you can sort of erase those memories of loss and sadness.
I feel very fortunate that we've had the opportunity to be here and experience all this here. I know that the one thing that I always mention to you is that all these things happen to us and it still doesn't get us down.
There's people worse.
That's right.
You know?
That's basically how we see it. Is like it could be worse, you know. And thankfully, we have a rock star that's coming home tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you know,
We're so psyched.
we have an awesome 5-year-old.
Yep.
You know, I have an awesome husband and awesome hosts. So